I think this is really like indicative of Shah Rukh Khan and who he is as a person, is the hospitality was
Top
A+.
notch.
Like top notch. There were snacks available to us, chai
Amazing.
was served.
What happened to the Salman Khan bites? We were teased in the beginning कि Salman Khan is saying things and then Salman Khan never shows up again. What happened to that? It's feeling like a YRF PR exercise.
You know, I think that's fair.
Hi Smriti Mundhra, finally we meet.
Finally.
Thank you for giving me your time. You're back in Los Angeles, yeah?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Has it still sunk in that the Romantics has been trending now for like a week? I think every day something or the other is trending every day on Twitter.
Yeah, it's funny. I came home and back to my normal life, you know, with my kids and
Yeah.
you know, taking them around this weekend, doing normal things, and
Yeah.
suddenly I'm having a little like, you know, like I feel separated from all the excitement, but no, it's been amazing. It's been truly amazing. It still has totally processed in my brain.
Has Netflix turned out to be a good partner for a show like this?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you know, the whole hope for the show and the purpose for the show would be that it could be seen by the widest possible audience, and
Yeah.
you can beat, what is it now, 190 something countries. How many ever countries are on this earth? I think they're there.
I love it. I love that.
What would you say if I told you we interviewed him extensively?
What? Aditya Chopra is a rumor. He doesn't exist.
So I'm not going to ask you how you got Aditya Chopra to agree to be a part of the show because like every interview is asking you this. I am going to ask you what happened to the Salman Khan bites. We were teased in the beginning कि Salman Khan is saying things and then Salman Khan never shows up again. What happened to that? Please explain. Explain yourself.
Certainly. Well, look, honestly, with 35 interviews that were, you know, about at least a couple of hours each, some more, some a little less.
Yeah.
And then, you know, dozens upon dozens of films, all of the archives that we had, to cut all of that down to 4 hours. Unfortunately, we had to, you know, snip a lot.
Salman Khan. Oh no.
And you know, we just, you know, we had to, it was just things were going to get cut no matter what, you know.
Yeah.
And there are bites that I absolutely loved, and anecdotes and insights that I absolutely loved that I would have loved to have in there, but either there wasn't time or, you know, the timing, you know, the flow of the story, it was all very intricately edited. So yeah, unfortunately,
So
you know, we tried to get everyone in there at least one.
Yeah, we
There'll
want
be
a
a
director's cut.
hopefully, yeah.
Excellent. So how many hours of footage do you have in total and how long did the shoot take?
I don't think I ever did the math, but it must be, you know, just by rough calculation, it must be at least, if you count all the films and, you know, all of the archives and interviews, it must be minimum 400 hours of material, I would say, minimum.
Nuts.
Yeah. So, you know, that's 1% was used.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then that's for exactly that reason. The editing process was really laborious. It took, you know, close to, you know, 2.5 years to edit the series.
No way.
Yeah, for that very reason.
2.5 years. Oh my gosh. Okay, so now there's a little bit of a criticism also about this show that it's feeling like YRF PR exercise. How do you respond to that?
You know, I think that's fair. You know, I think at the end of the day, you know, I wanted to create something that would remind us about why we love movies and our nostalgia for movies. This isn't a cynical show. It isn't an expose. You know, it is about it's about telling an incredible story about one of the most significant studios and two of the most significant filmmakers we have in this industry, and their personal journey, you know, their personal journeys, the highs and the lows of that. It's not meant to be all encompassing about everything to do with the Hindi film industry. It's not meant to be, you know, a sort of journalistic expose. So I leaned into what I really wanted to see, you know, in a series like this. And hopefully the hope was that it would be a jumping off point for people to go back and revisit the films, you know, even some of the films that weren't, you know, fully explored in the series, and also, you know, just debate and talk. I think that's the best thing that a piece of entertainment can do, is to get people talking and debating and arguing, and, you know, so I welcome it all.
I wanted to be the actor who talks about the modern Indian woman, and he believed in my talent.
One criticism that I have personally, what I really like that you went into the Pamela Chopra and the Yash Chopra love story and all of that. I would have really loved to see more of Rani Mukherjee and Aditya Chopra love story as well, because there's such mystique around them both, right? And considering she was a leading lady and then they fell in love and got married. So maybe in the director's cut, if I may make that request.
I wouldn't hold your breath for it. Listen, it was difficult enough for me to get Aditya Chopra to agree to participate in this at all. So I wanted to stick my line of questioning to things that were relevant to the studio and his career. And of course, to the extent that, Rani Mukherjee, their career stories overlapped, I included that. But I think in terms of personal things and personal backstories beyond that, that's for someone else can
series. How difficult was it to dig out the archival personal footage, not the movies, the footage from Yashji's wedding and like their home functions and things like that? Was that harder to do?
Oh my gosh. In a sense, yes, because there was so much material that we had to filter through and like there were so many jewels, in there in those archives to go through. And then I kept asking for more, I was like so greedy when I started seeing all the material. I kept asking for more and more and more. And, the studio was very accommodating. I mean, that was, they were very helpful in that, especially when they started to sense the scope of what I was trying to do. They were very helpful. But I think truly the Yashji's and Pam Auntie's wedding footage, which was like on film, and it was just so amazing. It was such a like gold mine, to find that.
Did you have to remaster that footage because it looked quite HD?
The studio had done some digitization of it because they're very meticulous that way of that. And then we did, of course, through color grading and everything, really made sure it looked, as at its crispy best,
it looked quite nice.
Yeah, exactly. But, it was shot on film. That's the benefit, the beauty, I think, when you see things that are shot on film, even some of the old films, Yash Chopra's films, like they're so wonderfully preserved. Because if they're shot on film and someone actually takes the effort to preserve them, they look better, than anything HD ever could.
What is the process of shooting inside Shah Rukh Khan's house? I assume those shots were inside Mannat. How do you set that up? Like you are inside the biggest movie star in the world's house, and now you have to set up in his study and point like 2 or 3 cameras at his face. What does that look like? That setup before the interview starts.
It was a pretty tingly experience, walking through or, kind of going, it was like, I don't know, it was like getting entrance to like Versailles or like the pearly gates or something.
Like a different dimension altogether. This is not the real world.
Yeah, not the real world. But, I think this is really like indicative of Shah Rukh Khan and who he is as a person, is the hospitality was
top
A+,
notch.
like top notch. I mean, there were people who helped us, get situated. We had our camera crew and everyone there who can handle all of the lighting and, do all of that. But there were snacks available to us. Chai was served, like everything. And then the best thing, I would say that really was like a lesson to me, to be honest, was when he walked in the room, he knew the name of every single person on my crew. And he shook everyone's hand and he greeted everyone by name. And I was like, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I'm that, on top of it, that I walk into a room and I know everybody's name, and who am I, like compared to Shah Rukh Khan. He knew the name of every single person on our crew, greeted everyone by name, shook everyone's hand, was very respectful of everyone's craft and their time. And it was just A+.
Hare yaar, Shah Rukh Khan, man, I have had the good fortune of meeting him 2-3 times, and every time you meet that man and a woman enters the room, he will stand up, and until the woman is seated, he will not sit down. I mean, it's such a
the manners,
the tamiz, the tehzeeb. Shah Rukh Khan. There's a reason why the country is obsessed with him. Now, speaking of the larger picture, Smriti, is this your attempt? Because you have, you had a father who made very varied kind of films here in India and abroad, and he ran a single screen theater, was the first one to do that in the United States for Bollywood films. Is this the Romantics, an attempt to contextualize the Indian film industry for a larger audience, or is this your ode to Yash Chopra and Yash Chopra films only? If you are contextualizing the Indian film industry and if there's going to be a step 2, what will that look like, and how can I get involved?
Listen, I think, as a storyteller, I believe that you can glean the universal from the specific. So, in telling a story, you don't want to make something, especially as a documentary filmmaker, I think people easily get bored when it's just a broad survey, of history or something, or a big topic, you want to understand the topic through a specific lens and through a specific story. So the lens that I chose, because yes, I did want to contextualize the sort of the craft and the scope of Hindi cinema, but I needed a lens through which to tell that story. And Yash Chopra seemed like the perfect lens just because of the longevity of his career, the impact of his work, and the fact that it's now carrying forward in another generation through Aditya. It just felt like a great lens to tell that story. But of course, it's not the full story. It's a lens. And hopefully, people who are hopefully it felt satisfying for people who are Bollywood obsessed, no matter where in the world they live, but also has access, easy access for people who are maybe have a vague understanding of what Bollywood is or Hindi cinema is, song, dance, weddings, color, that sort of thing. And we'll give them a sense that there's actually a lot of craft and a lot of cinematic language, that
know-how,
goes into
like technical know-how.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the hope, to show that through Yash Chopra and through his journey and Aditya Chopra. And that would only, hopefully increase the global appetite for Hindi film and, honestly, Indian film broadly, even outside of Hindi cinema. Yeah.
My brother was very clear that he wanted to be a filmmaker.
It was the first time I saw Western and Indian culture kind of merge together.
The thing that, struck me most about the series was how light-handed it is. There's a very approachable quality to the show, even though it is documenting, chronicling the life of one of the greatest filmmakers and storytellers we've had in this country. But it's very light-handed. It's very chill vibes, and Uday Chopra is making self-deprecating jokes. Did you expect that to happen? Also, there's a whole sequence about him being like, I mean, it didn't work out for me. I made some mistakes. Did you expect him to be that candid?
I mean, that level of vulnerability and candidness, you are always surprised as a filmmaker, especially when you're dealing with somebody who's a high profile person who just, who has a lot at stake, to speak so openly. And so you don't expect that. But I mean, having gotten to know Uday a bit, I know that that is the type of person he is.
Yes.
But then for him to really show that on camera, I thought was really remarkable, and I don't know, I respect him a lot, for that.
Yeah, he seems like a chill dude. My favorite episode is episode 1, where we get all that archival footage that I was fully not expecting to watch, going back into the life of Yash Chopra and where he started and everything. So thank you for telling us that story and for showing us that side of Hindi cinema that, people who are actively involved in Hindi cinema also don't know or, were told at some point in time and remember. But if there is going to be more of this coming from you, Smriti, very excited. I can be of assistance if I can help. Happy to jump on board. Thank you so much for your time today, and thank you for talking to me about your show.
Thank you so much, Sucharita. It was great to talk to you.
Maze aaye.
Maze aaye.